Onondaga Lake has undergone a transformation few thought possible. Through the extraordinary efforts of government, Honeywell, academia, elected leaders, and Central New Yorkers, Onondaga Lake is now becoming a source of pride and optimism for local residents and an economic driver for the region. Restoring Onondaga Lake is well underway. Lake water quality is now the best it's been in 100 years. Onondaga County has made major upgrades to its municipal wastewater treatment system, and Honeywell has removed more than 2 million cubic yards of contaminated material from the lake and installed an isolation cap on 475 acres of the lake bottom. The cleanup plan, which was issued by state and federal regulators, is based on sound science and community input. Hundreds of local scientists, engineers, and skilled craft laborers worked with Honeywell under the supervision of government regulators. The result of extensive investigations, engineering, dialogue, planning, and design, the project was completed through an unwavering focus on technical excellence, community engagement, sustainable practices, and a commitment to health and safety. The plan was made up of 4 key steps. Honeywell started by cleaning up former factory sites and building a 1.5-mile-long underground steel barrier wall, up to 77 feet deep, as well as an adjacent groundwater collection system. The wall and collection system intercept contaminated groundwater from those sites so it can be treated to meet the standards of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation before it is returned to the lake. Scientists and engineers spent many years taking thousands of samples from the lake bottom, identifying the areas where more than 2 million cubic yards of contaminated material was removed. 3 powerful dredges worked along the lake bottom to vacuum up the contaminated material. During dredging, metal teeth on the dredge, called the cutter head, rotated to loosen the lake material and break it into smaller pieces that were hydraulically suctioned into the dredge. The material was then pumped about 4 miles through a secure double-walled pipeline for safe, long-term isolation in a lined consolidation area. There, the watery mix was screened to remove stones and debris. The contaminated material was pumped into high-strength containers called geotextile tubes, which were placed on drainage stones, a high-strength plastic liner, and a protective clay layer. Lake water draining from the tubes was treated on-site to meet regulatory standards. After it met DEC standards, it was returned to the lake. All of the sediment-filled geotextile tubes were sealed with a liner and covered to ensure long-term isolation, and planted with native vegetation and grasses. The native vegetation and grasses will provide an important, sustainable habitat for grassland birds and other wildlife. Lake dredging was completed in November 2014, a year ahead of schedule. The entire process, including air quality, was monitored for public safety with oversight by the DEC. An isolation cap was placed over shallow water portions of the lake bottom to seal in any remaining contamination. The isolation cap provides a new, clean lake bottom and a new habitat layer to promote underwater vegetation growth and fish spawning. 475 acres of lake bottom were capped, with more than 3 million cubic yards of material consisting primarily of sand, activated carbon, and stone. Lake capping was completed in 2016. Natural recovery addresses deep water portions of the lake. During the summer months, the deep water is treated to reduce levels of mercury that would accumulate in fish. Restoring natural habitat and increasing recreational opportunities were a major focus of the community's vision for a clean Onondaga Lake. On the shores of Onondaga Lake and along its tributaries, Honeywell is creating or enhancing nearly 90 acres of wetlands, planting nearly 1.1 million native plants, trees, and shrubs along the southwest lakeshore. At Geddes Brook and 9 Mile Creek and elsewhere, creating a green corridor from the restored areas to the lake and providing a new home for all kinds of wildlife. Hundreds of volunteer environmental stewards have helped restore these areas as members of the Onondaga Lake Conservation Corps. We have already seen rare bird species, like the bald eagle, return to some of our restored wetland areas. In recognition of the restoration work, Honeywell received Audubon New York's 2015 Thomas W. Cassie Jr. Conservation Award, its highest conservation award, for the cleanup and restoration of Onondaga Lake. Onondaga Lake's water quality is the best it has been in decades, and habitat is returning faster than expected. And the central New York community is taking notice. Hundreds of thousands of community members are returning to Onondaga Lake for events at the Lakeview Amphitheater, celebrating the return of a regatta and enjoying Onondaga Lake's shoreline. For more information about the Onondaga Lake Cleanup Plan, please visit our website at lakecleanup.com.